Happy Friday. Are you with me? It's Friday, and that means it's time for another 5 things. I am always so happy to spend Fridays with you. This week, we're gonna do a day in the life part 2. So stay tuned and you can see what my very sophisticated author day looks like. Spoiler alert, it's not sophisticated at all. I'm so happy to have you back with me on another 5 Things Friday. Where is time going? Suddenly, it's the end of the school year, it's spring, and I feel like the energy just is cranking along. There are so many end of the year activities and exciting things to do. And this week, I thought I would do a day in the life part 2. I got so much great feedback from you about my day in the life part 1, which if you haven't seen, I promise it is not sophisticated, nor is part 2. The only difference is sometimes in the second half of my writer life day, I have actually taken a shower. So that's a very exciting evolution of my day. All right, so let's get right to it. Here is what the second half of my day looks like. This is after I have done a morning walk and had a coffee and hit my word count for the day and maybe spent time socializing with you online. The end of my day looks something like this. Number 1, planning meetings. I spend a lot of time planning. I know that sounds crazy, but not only planning and plotting future books or working through current book ideas, my husband is a great sounding board. So are a number of my girlfriends who I will call and be like, I'm stuck. I have writer friends who help me out. So planning meetings take many forms and shapes. Sometimes it's about the actual tangible book process. And also a lot of times it means maybe having an ice cold glass of lemonade or a beer if I'm working on the next Sloane Krause mystery on my back deck and figuring out what else I want to share for 5 Things Friday. Going through reader email and questions and pulling out things that I want to share, or talking about upcoming book launches and how I can do them differently and find a theme. I'm currently working on the book launch for book number 10 of the BAKESHOP, A Cup of Holiday Fear, and I've spent a lot of time on my back deck planning that out. I can't wait to share details with you soon. So planning is one of the first things I do in the latter half of my day in my life writing. And it's something that really then helps set the tone and the direction for what's to come in the next week or month, and sometimes even the next quarter and year. I'm usually looking that far ahead because books get published a year and a half, sometimes 2 years after I finish writing them. Number 2, editing. I know that I have talked about this in previous episodes of 5 Things Fridays, especially some of those episodes that are geared toward all of you who are working on books. I do not edit my manuscripts as I go. When I'm working on my daily word count, it is just in the moment. I'm flying through the words. I'm trying to hit that last page where I write the end. And then once I finish the book, I come back and I spend time editing. Like I talked about in another previous episode, I also, after I do rounds of edits, I spend time going through my editor's advice, copy edits, page proofs. So there's lots of editing that goes along with writing, and I usually reserve that for later in the day. Just because I like to kind of curl up on the couch or sit outside in the sun if it's springtime and kind of be in a different space than right here in my office where I usually am banging out my word count. Number 3. The next thing that I do in my afternoon and evening time, once I've hit my word count, do you sense the theme here? Word count, word count, word count. In my mind, word count rules. It is always the top priority. So in the second part of my writer life day, I spend time in my kitchen. If you haven't seen them yet, I've started a new series called The Tort Test Kitchen, where I am actually baking the recipes that end up in the pages of my books. But I spend a lot of time in my home kitchen testing recipes, failing miserably, so many total bombs you don't even want to know, and then hopefully getting recipes to a point that I am ready to share them in a book with you. I always love that process of kind of just the creation that happens in the kitchen, the scents, the sounds. I don't love it so much when things are a total disaster, and my family does not love it so much if I don't write down a recipe as I'm working on it, because then I can never recreate it again. Number 4, reading. I know this might come as a surprise, but I am first and foremost a reader. My one piece of advice to anyone ever thinking about writing a book is read, 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 and then read 1,000 more times. Read anything you can get your hands on. I spend my afternoons and evenings, once I've hit my word count, I know you're sick of that, aren't you? It's okay, I am too. I spend my afternoons and evenings reading. I always have a book on hand. Usually I have 2 or 3 that I'm working on at the same time. Maybe I'm reading something that's nonfiction and something fiction and, you know, like a book of poetry or who knows, an ARC, an advanced reader copy that I might be blurbing for a fellow writer. I always have a stack of books on hand. I always have a book in the car. And true story, I just got email from a reader the other day who was stuck in traffic and she pulled out a copy of Point of No Return. So this is a pro tip. Stick a paperback in your purse or your backpack or whatever you carry with you so you always have one on hand. You never know when you might be waiting at a dentist appointment or stuck in traffic. Stuck in traffic, don't drive and read. But you know, if you're stuck in traffic and you've got the parking brake on, then hey, pull out a copy of a book and read. Number 5, the last and most important part of my writer's day or any day in my life is the fact that I am a mom. My son is in high school, and so the afternoons in our household usually mean going to cheer him on at a track meet or a cross-country race or watching him participate in multiple activities, being involved in school events. I am so grateful to my parents, both of whom were so active and involved in my education, and I think it's so important to be able to pass that on to my son. So regardless, this is going to be a shocker, regardless of whether I have hit my word count today, I am always there for his events or to pick him up after school. Right now, we're just dipping our toe into driving. He just got his permit. So lately, I've been spending a lot of my mom time in the passenger seat of the car. Ooh. Readers, have you gone through this before? Help me out. Send me some advice on this one. I'm just having a tiny moment of panic. But I love being a mom and I love getting to be involved in all aspects of my son's life. And that is by far the best part of my day. Heart, heart. He'll be so mad at me for saying this, but it's true. Thanks for joining me for another 5 Things Friday. I hope you've enjoyed this look at my writer's life, part 2. And you know now for sure that my life is not glamorous. So don't believe any of the myths about writers being whisked away in limos and, you know, to fancy swanky parties. No, my life is like track meets and baking in the kitchen and spending some time reading. But that is not such a bad thing. Comment below if you have suggestions for me surviving the driving years or anything else. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and click the bell to get notified whenever I share new videos. And have a great weekend.